We got a little sun to start this one, buddy.
It's a beautiful, crisp day here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We got absolutely zero snow. Most of you got a lot. Again, it's January 18th, 2022, folks. Welcome aboard.
It's a Tuesday.
This is the Crushing Iron Podcast. We are episode 548.
Yes, we are. It feels like a Monday.
It does feel like a Monday.
We had a holiday yesterday.
I mean, basically, if you got kids in school, you've been living off 4-day weeks for the last 2 months, it feels like.
2 years, you mean?
2 months, it seems like. We got Martin Luther King Day last week. As cool as that. I'm like, can we just get a 5-day week here? Get my kid out of the house. I love him to death, but man, we need some structure in our lives.
There's not many 5-day weeks left in,
in
the world.
The real thing is I was looking at the calendar and I was like, yeah, he's got winter break in February. I'm like, we just had winter break.
What's going on here?
I don't know. It's like the breaks and breaks and breaks. Like, I don't think we need any more breaks. I think we need structure. I think we need to get back to our routine and get back to life.
We're scheduling too many days off.
Seriously.
It's take your own day.
Hardy up, get back to work. But no, it's a very beautiful day here today. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Again, if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. We appreciate you giving us your time. I know you have a lot of options in the triathlon podcast universe and just podcasts in general, so we value your time and appreciate it. We cover it all, folks. We cover swim, bike, run specific podcasts. We do race recaps. We do race previews. But for the most part, Mike and I, as coaches, athletes, best friends, we just sit back, relax, have an open, honest discussion about what we're going through as people, as humans on this planet, as athletes and coaches. We will also use the communication and kind of feedback loop we have with our athletes and training peaks, email, text messages across the globe. Work with a very wide range of athletes, from beginner level athletes to elite level amateurs. And we also will go into our Facebook group, as we will today, to kind of finish up our Q&As from last week. Use the topic of discussion in there or the questions to drive the conversation of the day. Again, if you want to be part of that conversation, it's Crushing Iron Group on Facebook. Answer one simple question, we'll let you right in. But that is it. We don't do sponsors. We don't do ads. We do have an agenda, though, and that's to keep you happy and healthy in your endurance sports journey.
You got that down, man.
I've been doing it a while. It's like, with some slight variations, but it just kind of rolls off. Bit. Yeah.
Are we doing a race preview today? No, we got nothing, right?
No, there
are some more races popping up.
Yeah, we had a lot of people running last week, which is awesome. It's a great and snowshoeing and cross country skiing and doing all kinds of alpinism type stuff. A lot of stuff in the snow.
Alchemist.
People are getting out and doing fun things, which is exactly what this time of year is for. Get out, do some things. It's all generating good fitness and creating a better body for you to have a fantastic year. But next in about 2 weeks, we can officially say next month is the first 70.3 in North America. So we are almost there. Oceanside, I believe, falls in March this year. So yeah, in about 2 weeks, we can say next month is the first North American 70.3. And about this time, you're all panicking and looking at your watch, doing a countdown clock. So you're welcome.
Yeah. My email is crushingiron@gmail.com. And if you're out there in Canada or Australia, I want you to shoot me an email. Let me know how things are going out there.
Down under?
Here's some things out. I don't know.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers. But yeah, you guys hang in there.
Hang in there.
But
shoot me a line.
Yeah, drop Mike a line.
Don't just curious, Yeah, don't him.
Don't drop me a line.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, good.
I'm good. I
got a confession. I was up at 6:30 this morning.
You were?
Yeah.
You're an hour and 45 minutes behind me, but yeah, good.
I know.
For you, that's
trust me.
A good start.
I had to run out and get a coffee. I mean, I was wide awake.
You're just wide awake.
Took Maddie. I got in the car. We drove over to the like a convenience store down there. What in the hell is with people driving at 6:30 in the morning? They're crazy.
They have somewhere to be.
I mean, I'm just like, it'll be chill. Nobody's out, whatever. It is. It's worse than driving during the day.
Yeah, people got somewhere to go. It's dark. You got black ice. It's dangerous, man.
Early risers, man.
Hey, listen, I woke up, did a little bit of work, went for a run. I probably saw all of, 3 cars the entire time I run this morning. Got back. Cool, brisk. The stars were out.
Seriously, I was going like 50 miles an hour and then getting run off the road down there.
Oh boy, you're a sensitive driver though.
I am, especially when I'm just getting up.
Just waking up and shouldn't be awake. And usually when your eyes are open, it's nighttime.
I should probably take an Uber.
That's probably, actually, they probably wouldn't allow Maddie, but yeah, it's probably actually a smart idea. We are going to follow up today to our questions from last week and finish up the questions or 3.0. We had a lot of good ones, and we're going to start off with, before I get rolling through clay seals, I did have one pop in through the email. This is an excellent question. Robert asks, in case you haven't recorded the podcast, question. Let's see. What would be an appropriate? This is something everyone should listen to and kind of apply and kind of think through. Is what is an appropriate level of fatigue and soreness as you build load in training blocks? I assume you don't want to be completely fresh for each session as you're building load, but also need to avoid severe mental and physical fatigue to be able to hit the right intensities. Any guidelines, rule of thumb? Thanks. This is an excellent question. And this is very timely, as a lot of you have probably gotten, you're starting off, if you got back rolling and you spent, November and December, just kind of lightly cruising, or cruising, zero, and doing nothing. You're back in the swing of things. You're starting to feel some fatigue built up. Everybody feels great the first week of January because your body's fresh. And now that maybe you're cleaning up your diet, maybe you're being more active the first, 4 to 6 days, or you're feeling pretty lively. And then hopefully, as you become more consistent, accumulated fatigue starts to rise, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Fatigue isn't a bad thing. Too much fatigue is a bad thing. And there are a few rules of thumb that I use personally. And another thing that we do for our athletes is just how we structure some workouts. Is for me, I gauge, and yes, you should have some level of fatigue in your body when you train. You shouldn't have a ton of fatigue, but there should be some residual tension or taking time for your legs to loosen up, especially as, you move forward through training blocks. And then sometimes you'll see even like if you just took a recovery week, you'll obviously, start your first week off. You won't see a lot of fatigue because your legs are fresh. You just had a little bit of recovery. But sometimes even as you kind of move through week 1 and week 2, so you're doing like a 3-week block, you do 1 week, 2 week, as you kind of finish off getting into that 3rd week, sometimes your body, even you haven't had time off, sometimes you feel your body kind of come around. It's adapting to the load, and it feels you got a little more pop, a little more pep in your step. But I do 2 things. They're my rules of 20. If my legs haven't warmed up in the first 20 minutes, then and kind of got my legs under me, then I think I'm probably carrying a little bit too much fatigue to maybe do what I'm supposed to be doing for the day. I will continue on at a lower intensity, but if after 20 minutes of nice, smooth zone 1, zone 2, that's gonna be running or riding, I'm backing things down. I'm taking things a lot more relaxed, because your legs they're not going to wake up all the way, right? But if you're carrying like some, your legs feel a bit, I like to use the word stale, they're kind of, your legs feel stale. If after 20 minutes, they're still kind of have that deep stale, there's no pop, there's no crispness, you can't pick up the cadence without really, putting forth a lot of effort, then I'm usually going to just kind of going back down and either recognizing to cut the session short or just keep things zone 1 or zone 2. The other rule of 20 I have is if I start to feel okay at the end of my first 20 minutes and I hop into my intervals, right? Let's say I have, 10 intervals. I like to use the 20% rule. If I can't get through the first 20% of the intervals that I'm doing, then without feeling like, all right, my legs are coming back around, I'm starting to feel pretty good, then I'll back the intensity down. You don't ever want to start a workout and finish a workout feeling worse, right? And I think that's something that a lot of athletes need to be really aware of is, active recovery, just get flushing things out, keeping things moving is a good thing, right? Like a lot of athletes abandon their workout when they can't hit their quote unquote numbers. That's not what you need to do. Honestly, the last thing you probably need to do is get off your bike and just go sit, right? Which is what athletes mostly do is they just go sit, get more stale. They're not increasing blood flow. They're not flushing things out. It's just 20 minutes for me. If I don't feel it, then I know I'm probably not going to feel it. Usually it's 10 to 15 minutes for a run. But for me, it's about 20 minutes on the bike and 10 or 15 minutes around. If you're carrying too much fatigue, then usually scale it back down, go high zone 1, because more than likely your high zone 1 power or heart rate or pace is going to feel like and be causing enough stress to be more of a, low to middle zone 2.
I have a rule of, I don't have a rule.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I have a theory.
Of course you have a theory.
We talk about, we always talk about flushing things out. And I mean, we're in the winter, most of us, unless you're in Australia, email me. But how do you flush things out? I think we get more dehydrated in the winter than we think we do. It's dry all the time. You know, we're not conscious of it. We're probably a little colder, so we're not drinking and stuff like that. And the reason I bring this up is because occasionally that'll happen. I mean, I'll be fatigued kind of for no reason. And then when I look at that signal as, oh, I better drink. I got to put some fluids in me. You know, I got to get water. Usually for me, it's just like water, and sometimes I add a little salt or something. But I think that's a big deal. You know, a lot of times that fatigue too is in your head. I mean, literally, it's like you're tired.
Yeah.
Brain
stressed, tired. Yeah.
And I just think that I think I've always said this, but I think most people are chronically a little dehydrated. And I think triathletes probably run on that edge more than anybody because it's so hard to keep up with, you know? So for me, that's one of the things I think that, you know, cause there's nothing worse than getting through the 20 and saying, why I shouldn't be, but I am, you know? So I just think that that's one of those things you need to really look at is how much fluids are you getting in you at this time of the year.
Yeah, and I had this almost exact thing happen on Saturday morning. Got up Saturday, headed over here to the hub, hopped on the bike, was aiming for about 2 hours of just nice, easy zone 1, zone 2 work. And not just from a soreness aspect, right? Like you said, you need to know your whole system, right? Mm-hmm. You could be head fog, heart rate might be high. I knew within the first 5 minutes I was on the bike that I wasn't going to go 2 hours and I wasn't going to put any effort in, because within about 5 minutes, my heart rate jumped up to where I wanted it to end for the day. Mm. So I knew whether it is, and I kind of did a system. I was like, all right, I probably am a little bit dehydrated, and probably underfueled a little bit yesterday or the day before. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to penalize myself and dig myself a 2-day hole. I chose to ride super, super easy. Instead of going 2 hours, I went about 1 hour and 15. So I got enough to feel like, you know what, I'm not going to dig myself a hole today, but I'm getting a little bit of work, but I'm going to be really, really smart and intentional about it. I fueled heavily the whole time I was on the bike. Went through like 3 bottles of EFS in an hour and 15 minutes. I was like, all right, my goal here isn't to necessarily gain a ton of fitness. My goal here is to get my body back to where it should have been when I started. Mm-hmm. And instead of digging myself a further hole. And then what I do, woke up the next day, headed over here to the hub, got into my swim in on Sunday and felt pretty good. I'm going to keep you on your toe. I almost left you a post-it on the floor. That's like I was here.
Some drips of water.
Yeah, I just think it's really, really important to listen and to every single thing about your body that's going off, and then always ask yourself, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I not do that? How well did I sleep? You know, and just know your body. And if you get any kind of you know, 1 alarm or 2 alarms go off and you're like, this just doesn't feel right, then just back it down, right? Just go easy and understand. Like I got up yesterday and went and ran for 35 minutes and it was straight cold here. And I knew, again, when the first like 10 minutes, it didn't feel great, but I felt, okay. So I just, backed it down. But I think an important, and this isn't a metric, but it's an important kind of guideline that I think athletes should really wrap their brain around, since we all get so hopped up on what numbers are. Is there, and we've mentioned this before in terms of like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, like there is no infinite end, right? It's like we use the visual that your zones, like zone 1 through zone 5, they're colors and they blend like the colors of a rainbow. Okay, there is no like specific zone 1 to ending that as soon as you go and you click over 1 more watt or 1 more beat per minute, your body's like, all right, disengaging zone 1, now in zone 2. Same thing goes for zone. People think there's like, you go 1 beat, like, I went zone 3 today. I went 156 instead of 155 going up this hill. I went in the gray zone today. I went in the gray zone. I've totally screwed. Like, no, you didn't. It's like everything is blended in and blurred. Having said that, we all have those days too where we go out and we are running by feel in terms of like how quickly we're running, how our feet are moving, the distance that we're covering, pace, all these things. And our heart rate is a much, much higher and our pace is slower. To me, that's like an immediate indication of I needed to rein things back. We also have days where you wake up, your normal breathing pattern, your normal heart rate is a lot lower and you're moving a lot quicker, right? Or you hop on the bike and you're going through your first 20 minutes of this is very, this shows up mostly for me in my cycling. If I make it through like a first 15 to 20 minute warm up, my heart rate hasn't hit mid 120s yet and it's still kind of low 120s. I'm feeling, I'm like, today's going to be pretty good. And you also have those days like I had Saturday, which was I'm barely pedaling and my heart rate's, I'm like, I don't even want it to get above this until the last 20 minutes of my ride. All right, time to reevaluate things. And I just think that's a very important skill for athletes to do is to be really, really aware of your body and understand two things. One, you need to be able to make real-time decisions on what's going to benefit you, not just for today, but for the next 4 to 5 days, right? Don't dig a hole. Prepare yourself and take care of your body. The same extent, if you've got intervals and you don't feel like you can do them, then don't just hop off your bike or don't walk home, right? Unless you're feeling like, way, way over fatigued and super sore. Do something that's going to help get you back to the next day quicker than you would have been had you just stopped completely. And I think that's something that I think a lot of athletes need to learn.
I agree.
Next up, Clay Seal. He's an OG.
He's an OG. He just came back in the club too.
Welcome. 50
Welcome
Cent.
back, buddy.
Trying to pick my 70.3 A race for the year. Part of me wants to find an easier course and attempt to PR. The other part of me wants to do a course that will kick my ass, but I think will be a fun experience. If I do both, I love triathletes. Kicking my ass equals fun experience. If I do both, is there an order to attempt these in the schedule? Yeah. You listen, man, like the order to me would be the first question is, how much spacing can you give, right? If there's 2 week spacing, then you do the A race first. You do your A race like PR one first, and then just kind of make it the second and have some fun, right? If you got 6 to 7, 8 weeks between, and you can do the, have fun / kick your ass race, do that one first. Don't taper, right? Just use take like a 2 or 3 day small recovery block leading into the race. Go out, do this race because you're not going to have any expectations, allegedly, right? And then go out and enjoy yourself, push yourself, get a great training day in, get a huge boost in fitness, and then get back and get ready to rock and roll for your A race that you're going to PR on a flat course.
Okay, I'm down with that.
You're down with that?
Yeah, I think 70.3s can be difficult.
Oh, they can 100% be difficult.
Any of them. So like. Yeah, I like what you said there, though. I think that's a good strategy. I got nothing else really for that.
It's all about how much you can space it.
Yeah, and how much you can pace it.
Oh, yeah, space it and pace it. Patty Thompson. Oh, boy. How much extra weight is too much? Wink face. I'm not answering that question.
You want me to take that? No,
I think it's... Listen, I tend to reevaluate my fueling and my nutrition when I believe the weight that I've put on is having a negative effect in my training. Yes, do I feel like putting on 4 to 5 extra pounds here and there is probably a good thing this time of year because it works a little bit harder. But if I feel like it's not allowing me to recover and it's more of an habitual thing with, if I'm carrying it, I'm more likely to keep eating like crap, right? And then that's going to affect my training, right? It's also going to affect my sleep. Then I'm starting to shape things up like I have been the last 4 or 5 days. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of. I'm ready to get back.
Dialed in.
I'm dialed in because to me it's cyclical. Everything is connected. You got to get if you're
hibernate.
If you're focused, yes, hibernate's good. But I've been hibernating. I'm good. The bear's out. Okay, I'm ready to roll. But no, I think generally speaking, it's more about what the effect of the extra weight is more about. That to me, that's more of the. What you should look at, not so much the number, but what the effect of the weight you put on is having to your training, your mood, your behavior, your sleep, your energy levels, your ability to recover, all those things.
Mm. Yeah, well, you're not afraid to tell me I'm a little overweight when I plantar fasciitis. It's like, look, I was trying everything, and you're like, maybe just lose a few pounds.
Listen, buddy. I didn't come in and say, hey, that shirt's getting a little bit too tight. You wash it on high? No, I just said, hey, it would probably be easier to heal if you weren't carrying a little bit, an extra fanny pack.
Yeah.
And you agreed.
I definitely agreed. I can take that. I think that you're right. We get sort of used to, it is weird though, how much, weight can, you know, because you get used to it kind of, and it doesn't really seem to affect my legs a lot of time. Because I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? When you lose it, you have stronger legs coming out of it because you're used to carrying around so much more. But I agree, man. I think really injuries and all that kind of stuff really kind of relates to that. But the problem is you can't just like cut it right out. You know, it's just got to be a slow burn, like everything else we talk about, I think.
Yeah, you got to be intentional
and drink a lot of water.
And drink, yeah, because most of you, as Mike said, are chronically underhydrated.
And you got to get it out. That's another way to get, you know,
flush it. That's why everybody was like so pumped when you lost your first 5 pounds in the first week. You're like, oh, this diet is money. Like, all you did was lose beer and alcohol weight from the entire month of December. That's all you did. That's all you lost. You probably gained weight since then. Roy, good question, Roy. What is the fastest way to build base? ? Exclamation point. He went ass hard there. Longer runs, multiple runs, just run more. Zone 1 and zone 2, of course. It's all about frequency. Okay. And it's all about frequency to building your base. Because most people, and listen, the term long and fast are relative, right? Your long run might be 50 minutes to the other person's long run might be 17 miles. Okay. There's very different things in terms of running long, but the best way to build base is to do it through frequency. Is allow that obviously you can be a frequent 30-minute runner, right? 5, 6, 7 days a week. And then what's going to happen is you become so efficient that that's going to turn into the ability to do 40, 45 minutes every day, right? You're continuously building your base. But if you want to build your base in your cake, if you will, like we always say it is, the best way to do that is to do as much zone 1 and zone 2 work as you possibly can. And this is the time you're to do it, which is very hard for most athletes because this is the time of year when most athletes they need the stimulus of intensity, right? They need attention control, which is what most athletes are craving right now. They're stuck inside. It's snowing everywhere. You know, it's just funny this time of year because everybody's like, oh, I'm stuck inside. I'm like, you're stuck inside in the summer because you refuse to ride your bike outdoors. So you can't have it both ways. But most athletes right now they don't want to do zone 1 and zone 2 because they're like, I'm just sitting on my bike. It's February. I'm January. I'm so far away from my race. I don't want to do this. I want to go out there and I want to smash it, you know, and that's what people do. So, but if it means you're doing your bike versus not doing your bike, then there's something to be said for that too. But yeah, more frequency. It's all about frequency. Longer runs are helpful, but you know, every other week that thing, especially right now, is as long as you're being frequent. Yeah, it's all about frequency. Zone 1 and zone 2. But good question, Roy.
Yeah. That is a good. So there's no shortcut, huh?
Yeah, we don't sell shortcuts.
Yeah, I know. That is a weird thing. You love riding on the trainer.
Yeah, I don't know that I love it. I don't mind it.
It's hard, man, because there's not, you know, even though we're in Chattanooga, which is a great cycling city in theory, but still, I don't really feel like I have routes that I really feel great about or safe about, you know? So it's kind of weird. I was thinking about this the other day is how the sport is so indoors in a lot of ways, you know, especially during tough weather, but it's like, you know, on the trainer, boy, that really is kind of like putting one foot in the metaverse, you know?
Yeah. It's time for the metaverse stuff. God, every time I come back over the weekend, you've gone down some YouTube rabbit hole and you get lost.
Just paying attention, man.
Yeah, Cody Riley, recovery week TSS recommendations or how to know when you're overreaching on a scheduled lower volume training week. I don't use TSS recommendations. I don't do an annual training plan. Never have, never will. Just because I feel like they're wildly inaccurate. And I think the TSS scoring system is wildly inaccurate. We've gone over that before. So I don't use that metric in terms of goals for the week. In terms of how you know when you're overreaching on a scheduled, you know, lower volume training week. If you don't, I'm just gonna be simple for you, Cody. If you don't feel like you're getting fresher, you're probably overdoing it. I mean, listen, it shouldn't be 4 days off in a row. Like that's not a recovery week. That's just being lazy. A recovery week. So it's like people's taper, right? Everybody has a different, idea and definition of what tapering is and what recovering is, you know, a lot of people see their taper. They're like, oh, it's time to unload, 3 weeks out from their race. And they go from, you know, peak training and feeling right to, you know, having pasta and pizza every meal and cutting back their training 80% and doing absolutely no intensity. I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not what you're supposed to do. Same for recovery week. You know, yeah, give yourself a day off if you need one. Do an easier. So it's more about flushing things out from the previous and taking quote unquote time off. But you also want to keep some pops in there, right? You still want to stay crisp. Right. You don't want to get stale. Like you'll see a lot of athletes, they might, moan and whine about, when am I get a day off? Then you give them a day off. And you know what they say? Next day, worse. They feel worse after that because their body's like, just kind of like, oh, we're stopping. Oh, well, I'm just going to stop doing this. 80% of the athletes that I work with say they feel worse during recovery week than they do during actual training week, which is not common, right? It's the same thing with tapering. People feel awful when they're tapering because your body is like using all this energy to repair itself from all the damage you've been doing. You get phantom pains. And then also something that I generally see with athletes, they become so much more unfocused during recovery week because they went from a high demand, high structure, specific intensities to, all right, we're just kind of like, we got some work to do this week, but the demand isn't that high. And athletes kind of lower their guard down in their sense of responsibility and time management sometimes goes out the window during recovery. They're like, I hate recovery weeks. I always get off and then I lose my motivation. I'm like, or my time management goes to crap because they feel like I can sneak it in because it's less. But generally you should feel a little bit fresher, focus on sleep, but still keep some pop in them. Don't get lazy. If you feel like you're not, if you start your recovery week on a Monday and by Thursday or Friday, you don't feel like you've gotten your legs back underneath you and you're trying to see some things you might not have seen before, then you should probably take Saturday and Sunday a lot easier. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't, if it takes you 7 full days to recover or feel some pop back in your legs, then before you start your next week, then you probably went a little bit too hard.
Yeah. What about modified recovery weeks? You do that a lot, right?
What do you mean?
Well, as in, maybe the first part of the week, like you're saying, Thursday, and then you go long and easy on a little longer.
Yeah, I mean
those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, most of y'all don't need a whole week.
Right.
If you don't train 6 to 7 days a week and you train 3 to 4 days a week, you don't need a recovery week. You're not recovering from anything. No offense, but you don't need an entire week to recover. Mm-hmm. Sometimes like for most athletes, 3 to 4 days is plenty. 3 to 4, you can do. And sometimes when I'm in like real big training blocks with athletes and they come off like a pretty big block, but we're not really deep fatigue, like it's if you've gone from like base to build phase and you just up the volume, but haven't upped a ton of intensity yet. And you're after your first one, you're probably still cause you just transitioned. You're probably still you're probably still feeling fairly fresh. So you don't need an entire week. You just did 3, right? And your fitness is at a point where I can keep going, right? So what I'll usually do is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe Thursday, back it down. Day off, easy swim, active recovery ride, some run with some strides. Ease it up, keep a little bit of tension, and then back to regular scheduled programming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, keeping my long swim, keeping my long ride, keep my long run, and then move it back. Also, if you want to do, and you don't necessarily, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it unloading, deloading, recovery, easy week. Also, but if you're going to do some type of testing, like you're going to run a 5K, you're going to do some, 200 or 400, meter all out in the pool, you're going to do an FDP test, you need to structure your week that way too. It's to unload some and give yourself some time. So it's all about how you structure it, but you should generally feel some level of freshness as the week kind of goes on. Okay. If you in fact need an entire week, which is another reason why like the annual training plan stuff with TSS, I'm like, it's way too much for 95% of the athletes that look at it. Yeah.
And I was looking at some plans this morning, and that might come into play right after a 70.3 if you're going back into a full and you don't have a huge time block between them. So coming off a 70.3, you might give like 3-4 days of easy recovery, but then you got to kind of get after it a little bit. So that would be
and you probably just tapered going into it. So it's not like you need, that's like, yeah. But again, you can't do that annual training plan. You just got to have your finger on it. Is there a Josh, is there a race not in the USA that's on your bucket list, and why? Mike?
No,
you're not. Yeah, nothing in Canada or Australia.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to do a race up there this year, but it doesn't look like it. I think. The only one. It's not even there's 2 probably that I'll probably never do, but I used to have them on a bucket list. I've kind of outgrown it, but Roth, Challenge Roth, and then what's the other tough one up in Ireland? Is that
all of them?
All of them. No, the one that rains and it's always cold is Cork. Is that right?
And I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, the one in Ireland. I heard it's absolutely insanely brutal. God, I can't remember the name of it now.
It's not Cork.
I don't know, dude. You're asking me. I can't even spell alpinist or pronounce alpinist.
I know, right?
Roth would be up there for me. And if someone wants to kidnap me, inject me with Xanax, and make me sleep for 3 weeks to get over there. Where?
Atula.
I don't even know. Oh no, I'm not going to swim and run. No. Roth, and then I would love to go to Australia at some point. I don't even have a race there, but I'd like to go to Australia at some point. I don't know if I'll ever make it, but yeah, I'm gonna go to Australia. Roth is the one, right? That has like that has more spectators than almost any race you're ever gonna do. And it's one of those races where the entire city gets around it. They love it. They think it's amazing. So yeah, I would say, but to me, I mean, Hawaii is not in the USA either, and I want to do Ironman Hawaii. Michaela, racing Ironman Wisconsin with my dad. Oh, how much is an acceptable time to beat him by without hurting his ego? Just kidding. He'll probably kick my 25-year-old butt. Smoke him. No prisoners. Like, you don't take it easy on your pops. You absolutely go after him. No, don't. Come on. It's your pops. Go for it.
He's going after you.
Exactly. He is not going to take it easy on you. You race it. You finish.
I think
you grab your Snickers, and then you do what every triathlete hates. You see your buddy coming up, medal around his neck.
Yep.
Post-race clothes on, coming out to quote unquote cheer you on, right? For the last 3 to 4 miles. They're not cheering you on. They're gloating. Okay. They're like, they probably went back to the room and showered. They're like, yeah, I got to get back out there and, support Johnny and Tim. We've been training together all year. Whip their ass. I'm going to go out there and, kind of give them the old, hey, almost there. You know what they're thinking? You suck. Like, I hate you. It's like the person who says you're almost there at mile 2 of the marathon. Like, they're not coming. They're coming out for a victory lap. You just happen to be still on course. That's what they're doing. So, Michaela, go out for your victory lap.
Yeah.
And what you also should do, throw little jabs at them, right? Just talk a little smack. Be like, hey, you're doing great. You're almost there. 6 miles left. Just so you know. Post-race pizza's gone. Sorry. We had to throw a couple of extra little jabs in there, and make sure you can do a quick shower. Listen, Michaela, if you can blow dry your hair and come back, more power to you. But yeah, anything you can do to kind of stick it in the grill, I support that fully.
Yeah. When we did Goose Pond that year.
Yeah.
Brad Rollins, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brad. He's really fast. He's
good.
Yeah, he's good. He's about my age. I did Goose Pond. I was running down the final road to finish the race, and he drove by me with his bike on the roof and goes, "You're looking good, buddy." He was already in the car and leaving. Not cool, man.
Yeah, not cool, man. You've there's been only one time when I've never gone back on the course to cheer you on because I know how grumpy it would make you. There was one time I specifically remember though how unhappy you were when we saw you on the race course. Do you remember this?
Which time, man?
It was on Muncie. I think you got in the water about 30 minutes before I did. I think you said your goal was for me not to catch you until like lap 2.
Oh yeah, in the back. Yeah.
And I came up behind you and gave you a little.
I was not happy. About that.
Hey man, I think it was at mile 2, and you were not. You're like, oh, you said already?
It was mile 4.
Yeah, it was mile 4. Yeah, you were not happy.
I was pissed. Because I really thought, I had a good swim on a decent bike. You must have really went after it.
I think I felt all right that day.
Yeah. I mean, I had a good race too.
You had an excellent
Congratulations to you.
No, you had an excellent race.
5:04 there or something? No.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, it was 5:04.
Yeah, you had a very quick race.
And you still just scorched me. Nice job.
Like, at least don't come back on the course fully dressed and give it the old, hey, Mike, you got this.
I did do the shoulder slump when you went by. I was like, shit. That was like this year when Chat tapped me on the ass on the bike. Looking good, buddy. Halfway through, and I'm like, damn.
Johnny, people just need to keep to themselves. Everybody thinks they're doing your buddies a favor. You're not. Keep your mouth shut, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to go back on course to cheer, just stay in your tri-kit, okay? Don't go,
Then he stopped in special needs, and I didn't see him. And I passed him again, and he had like a bike tune-up. He took like 20 minutes there, and then he rode by me again later. Just rubbing it in all over the place. Yeah, and Phil both.
Yeah, these people aren't your friends. Just watch what you say on course. But yeah, Michaela.
I had it coming, man. I had it coming.
Sophia, Can I substitute a swim-focused strength workout for a swim when I cannot get to the pool? No.
No.
You can't substitute a swim-focused strength workout for a pool swim. They're not the same. You can do one instead of, but you don't replace. It's like, it's like when you're placing your online order at Walmart or Target or Whole Foods, and they're like, all right, we're out of this. This is the equivalent. You're like, all right, we're out of chicken breasts, and your option's like, yeah, I'll take tenderloins. What do you get instead? Freaking bologna from the deli. Okay, that's a substitute, right? You get chicken breast for chicken breast, okay, or a different kind, or chicken thighs. Substituting a swim-focused strength workout for an actual pool swim is like substituting, a ribeye for a hot dog. Okay, you're going to get a piece of meat, but it's not going to nearly satiate you enough. It's not the same thing.
Speaking of food,
yeah,
we pump State of Confusion a lot. You want to shout out to Main Street Meats real quick?
Yeah, Main Street Meats. If you're in town, enjoy. They have a great spread term. We just said we don't do sponsors and us, but yeah, Main Street Meats. Maybe we'll hit up there. The next hub visit or two, we'll hit up Main Street Meats. Sophia, please explain driving from the hips when kicking while swimming, of course. So when I talk about, good question, hard to articulate and explain. Not in real time in person. But I don't talk about driving from the hips when kicking. I talk about driving from the hips when you swim with your stroke. I like to give the example when people are here with us, like I'll make them stand on the side of the pool and I'll say, all right, let's say you're keep your heels and your feet planted. You can't raise your heels off the ground. Raise your hand up. And they're like, all right, raise my hand up. And right now I say something like, hey, what's your favorite dessert? And they're like, chocolate chip cookies, carrot cake, cheesecake. If they say I don't have a favorite dessert, we refund them their money and ask them to leave. Let's say they say trunk cookies. All right, so you got trunk cookies on top of the refrigerator. You can't reach them like this, but now I want you to reach them. And what happens is they will again, leaving your heels in the bottoms of your feet on the floor. You can reach further, right? By extending and really stretching out your lats. If you should feel like a stretch and kind of some, it should be tight from your lats all the way down to your hip. What you're doing is you're driving your hip up, right? And then allowing more space and more reach by doing it that way. So stand flat-footed and then raise your hand in the air like you have a question, and then really want some double stuffed Oreos, some trunk cookies on top of the refrigerator you can't reach, and now reach for them while still keeping your feet flat. That is called driving from the hips and reaching. And now you're all hungry.
And I closed my eyes while you were saying that. Yeah. And I could see it.
You could see it?
Yeah. It's better to see it in person. But.
Yeah. If you really want someone else's, hit us up. Next one, Mark Strickland. If we're substituting an alternate workout for an assigned workout in Training Peaks, do you want us to remove the unplanned workout after we've transferred the data to the assigned planned workout? Otherwise, Training Peaks shows double results. That's probably depending on what your coach.
Which would be me.
Yeah, if you're my athlete, I would say don't delete anything I put in there. Yeah, leave it. You leave it. Just because you did something different doesn't mean we don't need to know what was there.
Right. Yeah, because when you start, that is one thing that happens a lot. People start moving things around, and then I see like they did 4 things on Monday, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And then the rest of the week is empty, and I have no idea what the agenda was there. So I would say definitely leave it. If it bothers you and we reconvene at some point, then I can, we can discuss deleting it.
No, leave it. Yeah, just leave it.
Just leave it.
We don't have photographic memories, and neither do you. So it's always good to see what was planned versus what you actually did, so we can plan the next week. Mm-hmm. Janine Murphy Morris, if you wanted a lot of flexibility this year in training, as in being able to decide 2 to 4 weeks ahead to do a short course race and to not have an A race on the calendar, do you make a generic plan without a big buildup, or just race with whatever fitness you have? How would you tune it up with only 2 to 4 weeks until a race? If you don't know when you're going to race, then that's kind of hard to plan. You're just kind of generally being, generally hard to plan in terms of being very, 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 very specific about it. But it's fairly easy to plan, at least to get you pretty close to being in really good shape. 2 weeks is too short, but 4 weeks for sure. because just the nature of the time of year, right? Like if you're training right now and you're training pretty consistently, right? And you're doing work, you may even have an A race, but as long as you're putting in some work, building the base, doing whatever, you're not going to race till probably May, June, July. So you can, build base. Really, I would do it all the way till like April, into April, May. And then maybe kind of move on your own to some, more intensity in a type of build phase, and give yourself 3 weeks to peak it out and then be ready to rumble. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't overthink it. But again, you're not going to race in January, February, March, April, maybe even May. So you got 5 months to get in some good work, and then your finish should be at a good enough spot to where you can just kind of let it rip. But yeah, listen, have flexibility. I love that. Athletes, I've got quite a few athletes who have absolutely zero races on the calendar this year. But the point is to still get better. You can still go through training blocks to get better and fitter and faster, because that's the name of the game. Because when you do decide to race, you don't want to be starting from scratch. And I think that's just something important to remember, is just because you don't have a goal, quote unquote goal, that's a race, right? You should and you do, whether you say it or not, everyone wants to be fitter and faster. So if you want to be fitter and faster, you got to have a plan. You can't just kind of wing it and exercise your way to a better race.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of those things where I think we've all done that, and this sounds a little bit like you're out having a few beers on Friday night and your friend goes, yeah, you should race tomorrow. And then you want to be able to know that you're sort of in that, realm of shape. And we've all done it. And I think that, if you're gonna kind of take that approach, it sounds like it's going to be a more of a casual kind of approach to the whole, like feeling good and being in shape and that sort of thing. And I also think that we're probably more capable than we think we are most of the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So like if that tomorrow isn't like just hey, come do a sprint, it might be an Olympic or something like that, or like, hey, you got 4 days, let's do a 70.3.
Just make it work.
Make it work. I kind of joke about that, but like, if you've done them, I think that's a big part of it too. If you know what you're getting into and you just kind of want to go out in there and race it because it's fun atmosphere or something. But yeah, you should know what kind of shape you're in.
You should know, but always have a plan, right? Don't just exercise your way and expect to be faster. It's too random. Andrew Specht, last one. Good question. Interesting question. Was there ever a time where you and Mike almost noped out of the coaching business? Or was this a case of where you knew this was right and were going to stay the course regardless? I would say I've never questioned wanting to coach. Obviously, like we didn't, find each other on LinkedIn and decide to start I know it's very shocking to you guys, and decide to start a quote unquote business. But I've coached for 10 plus years, and even when I had what people call real jobs, and I've always done it. I just didn't know or think or have the guts really to see if it was going to be something that would be, fulfilling enough to, transform my life, and the timing wasn't really right. In a lot of areas, or just make it somewhere I feel like I was actually, sustainable, level of income to where I could, not, be, a freeloader for the rest of my life. But then, it's kind of like we do everything. We just I was coaching and podcast, and, it's funny because I always remember when we started the podcast when I lived in Kansas City. And then I remember for the first 20 or 30 episodes, I didn't even talk about taking on athletes and coaching. We just talked. And then all of a sudden I started to get emails because I had coached when I worked at a triathlon store, and I was already coaching a few athletes that I knew back in Nashville. And, there was just like a 2-week period where I had a bunch of people, hey, are you taking on this? I'm like, yeah, I am. And I was like, maybe I should mention it more because I had a full-time job. Then I was director of operations for a fitness, company in Kansas City. And then when we decided to move back and come to Nashville, I originally moved back to work for and I think I remember this, but you were living in Nashville at the time, but we were moving back to Nashville to be closer to family. And I accepted a job at a treatment facility called Cumberland Heights. It was a place where I was going to work in the young men's department, work in kind of with adolescents that were struggling with treatment or with substance abuse and alcohol, something I'm still very passionate about. And then about a couple of days before I did it, I went there and interviewed to work with the same company that I worked for in Kansas City. And had been very successful in Kansas City, but basically they wanted me to like start over from scratch and like demote myself down and work my way back up. But it was it was a consistent job. It was a great job. It was pretty good paying. And I met with the owner quite a few times. You and I were, kind of, the podcast was still moving. And then all of a sudden, I had some more coaching inquiries coming in. And I remember we had this, it's funny. I remember exactly where I was standing when I was talking, when I texted you. Cause I had a coffee meeting with him, and I told him, he said, yeah, we can do this. I want you to work. I want kind of prove yourself over again. And I was just like, what the fuck do you mean prove myself again? Like I went from, when I was living in Kansas City, I went from, went up anyway, I got promoted like a bunch, and I was like, what do I need to prove? I'm done proving myself. I'm done proving myself. I don't have to answer any more questions. I'm done. And around that time, I was having more and more influxes. Like I still remember this day, like Jamie Lopez and Ross Kaffenberger and a bunch of athletes. Like I remember they came around like that June time period that it came in or asking about coaching. And I remember I texted you and I said, I want to do this full time. Like I was standing outside in the back deck at Starbucks in Green Hills right after a coffee conversation had ended with the owner. And he left, and I called him and I said, this isn't for me. I said, I'm going to pass. And then I texted you and I said, I think we can do this full time. And you were like, really? You got the green light for that? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we sat down for 3 weeks, out in Silicon Valley in a boardroom and really mapped out the next, and then we just kind of figured it out, along the way. We've always loved what we've done, the podcast and coaching. And obviously you've come a long way in the last 2 to 3 years in coaching. And I think the podcast and the coaching and the community and the team, like we didn't even think about camps till people brought it up. Someone's like, hey, you guys should do a camp. And we're like, all right, sure. Wonder what we can do for a camp. And now I would argue we have the most attended camps of most athletes come through our camps each year than any other outfit in North America. I mean, they sell out. We go with about 100, 150 people every year. I think the biggest question we ever had was opening this place. During the pandemic, we had plenty of opportunity to get out and say no and not do it. And if people wondering like, hey, like what are you doing? Like, how are you going to generate money in Q4 of 2026, it was like, we've just always loved it. I mean, I know that was a really long-winded answer, but I think a lot of people who listen now probably didn't listen in the beginning and know kind of the ins and outs of how we got here.
Yeah. I think, I totally remember that. And back at that time, of course, I wasn't coaching and I really had no interest in it, as you know, but I mean, I had been, passionate about triathlon and writing and blogging about it through the whole time. And it was, that was kind of how I got, then I was starting to do these videos and I thought it would work out where you could coach and, we could do a lot of these videos and, online courses and things like that. And, you were pretty steadfast on just keeping it, focused on the athletes. And over time, I really did realize that was the best. I mean, yeah, because we could put things out there, but we realized that, those things mostly don't work, and I've bought several of those things that are, sitting in the archives of my email right now. So we just really focused on that, and slowly but surely, I just kind of followed your lead and got into coaching and took on more and more people, learned a lot of hard lessons and just did it that way. And it makes more sense. I mean, we've always wanted to really give genuine value and not, you buy those things and you get 8 emails a day from people. And it's like, hey, what the hell? Did you see you didn't open your plan? You weren't doing anything today or whatever. But, we just wanted to be that way. And, we didn't have to go prove anything to a banker really. We just sort of opened things up, and we worked hard and kind of built. And, while you started coaching, I was just doing my videos on the side and making money that way. And we just made it work. And now it's sort of our baby.
Yeah, do what you love, work hard, get lucky. I mean, that's kind of, we've had a lot of luck along the way too, but I love it. Couldn't think of doing anything different ever. But yeah, that's how we got here. And that's how you got to the end of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wrap it up at 50.
3.0.3.
Pi. As always, we love you. We'll come back to you again fresh on Thursday with a new one. And we always appreciate those of you in our Facebook group putting up questions. We hope you enjoyed your answers today. As always, go to our website, C26triathlon.com. It is our one-stop shop for all things coaching, camps, and community. And if you're looking at coaching or guidance for the rest of this year, it just started, of 2022, check out our coaches profile and see which one might fit your needs, and let us help you out this year and be part of a wonderful team and community. I would say register for our camps, but I think Texas camp is the one that has three spots left, and the other ones are sold out. That's it. Club membership, done.
Through the end of January.
Oof, you're too kind. You're way too kind. You got too much time on your hands.
No. I'm
allowing for the backlog of December. Yeah, I got it. But yeah, if you want to be a part of the club and have Mike take care of you, click on the club membership and check out the club membership, the club plus, or the club hub option. If you're interested in coming to the hub, staying in our townhome, or getting a swim analysis, bike fit, or any of the like, you can always reach out to Summer at C26operations@gmail.com. She'll get you set up. And as Mike said at the beginning of the podcast, he's always available for everyone, Australia, Canada, or America. All you international people, he is at crushingiron@gmail.com. If you need to get a hold of me, you can always get a hold of me at C26coach@gmail.com.
Yeah, I do want to hear from you. I want to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
The horse's mouth?
Yeah, I want to hear,
I can put you in touch with quite a few. We got quite a few athletes in the UK.
I know we do.
Australia.
I know.
And Canada.
I've got. But I just kind of want to get a well-rounded opinion from a lot of people.
Are you looking to move there?
No, I'm just like, I don't know. You hear things, man. I'm a little concerned.
You're always concerned. You're a concerned worldly citizen, are you?
I'm just saying, man.
I'm concerned
keeping an eye on things.
I'm concerned about the bubble I live in. That's about it.
I know. I'm in and out.
But you're all in my bubble.
I just want a little dialogue. I want to get a little more worldly, first-hand worldly.
Well, catch me up when you get done.
You know I will.
I know you will.
All right. See ya.